We have Dr. Shweta Gupta, who is an IVF reproduction specialist from Sir Gangaram Hospital. She is a senior consultant center of IVF and Human Reproductive Center of Sir Gangaram Hospital. She is an editor of India Fertility Society. She is also credited with the first pregnancy for frozen thawed oocyte, first fellow National Board Reproductive Medicine, and a recipient of many awards, one of being Economic Times Award for Inspiring Obs and Gynec and IVF, Vigyan Vardhan Award, and Foxy Ethicon Traveling Fellowship. She is also a peer reviewer for a journal of assisted reproductive and genetics. Welcome, Dr. Shweta Gupta. I guess we have some questions for you. The least understood and talked about fluid is a seminal fluid. So there are certain problems that we as pathologists face. We do try to report the yes for the latest WHO guidelines of 2010, but then we face certain problems of, say, low volume of semen, or where it is the semen is not liquefied. So what do you think should be done in such cases, and also how important is vitality for you?
Yeah, so thank you. I think I've been hearing a very, very high-end conversation, and in the world of automation, I think this is one test which is very, very skill-based, very, very skill-based, and it has a huge inter-observer and I think even intra-observer variation. So I think it's very important because if we look at semen analysis, it may just seem like a very simple test. However, we are looking at 50% of the whole fertility, which is dependent on the male partner. So standardization of this test is extremely important, and this will only come when there is a dedicated technician or a pathologist looking into these parameters months after months and getting the WHO 2010 training modules, which is very important, and having a clinical correlation, because I can tell you that I'm into IVF and my husband is a pathologist, and I think we mutually benefit from each other. So I think very important is if there is a low volume semen, then the first thing to be asked and questioned to the male partner is that was the collection proper, and invariably you will find out that out of nervousness there was some spillage. So if the first part of the semen has spilled, that means we would be losing the concentration of the sperm, so the count and motility would be low. If we are losing the later part of the semen sample, then that means we are losing the bulk of the semen sample, which is coming from the prostate and the seminal vesicle. So your biochemical parameters can change. The second thing is that before the semen collection is done, like yesterday itself, a semen report came to me, and this person had a sexual abstinence gap of more than 10 days because the volume was very high, and then we start seeing more dead sperm. So we should not be taking these samples unless there is a proper, gap of a sexual abstinence, which should not be more than about 2 to 6 days. So low volume. Then if there is a low volume, it is very important to call the gentleman again after, say, about 2 weeks or 3 weeks and see the semen sample again. Now, this is also very low volume. And if there are no sperms in it, you can also start thinking of retrograde ejaculation. You can start thinking of a common ejaculatory duct obstruction. So any erectile dysfunctions, common ejaculatory duct obstructions, retrograde ejaculation should start featuring if there is a persistent low volume. And then you look out at what is the count and the motility of that semen sample. What was your second question, Dr.
I think so. You would reiterate that two different reports of same. So in case of any abnormality, 1 week apart would be the best judge of actually assessing the abnormality in the semen.
Yes. So coming
unliquefied seed.
Yes. So, it's very important that when the semen is collected in the chamber, first of all, you need to see whether it has got liquefied or not. Because the first step, liquefaction, is also important. I mean, forming a coagulum is very important. And then liquefaction is very important, because the first thing would be a set of enzymes which would be coming from the seminal vesicle, and then from the prostate, which would be liquefying. So if a semen sample coagulates, forms a coagulum, forms a blob, however, does not again come back into a liquid form within 60 minutes of semen collection, And then when you start picking it up on it by a syringe or by a pipette and you're unable to pick the semen, then it is called an unliquefied semen. As compared to, we have another entity which is called viscous semen, where it does become a coagulum, it does liquefy. However, when you start lifting it up again and start dropping it, you would see that it will form, ideally the semen sample needs to form a very short string of less than 2 centimeters. But if we start seeing a string which is longer than 2 centimeters, then we know that we are dealing with viscous sample. So basically the interpretation is that both liquefaction problems and viscosity are indirectly telling us to inflammatory processes, and we need to look at, either seminal vesiculitis or prostatitis, inflammation which we need to see, and we need to see leukocytospermia in the semen. So this is very, very important correlation if we are finding an unliquefied semen or a viscous semen sample.
Fine. And the last, how important is vitality? Vitality is one very important aspect which we used to not earlier look into the semen in the previous year, but which is very important as per the WHO 2010. So how important?
Vitality is very important in cases where we are dealing
as compared to mortality.
Total asthenospermia. So that's important, because if you're seeing motile sperms, we are seeing motile sperms. We don't need to see whether they are dead or not. But then we do come across these cases where there is total asthenospermia. So in total asthenospermia, if we can do a proper vitality, then these patients who are undergoing especially IVF can be benefited, because we can adopt certain methods during IVF to select these sperms. So it's very important to know, and for that a very proper staining technique is required. Now there are readily available morpho kits, which I just wanted to put across to all the pathologists and people who are hearing, and they're very easy to perform. So semen analysis, because I invariably see reports where I personally feel that the morphology has just not been done, or it has been ignored very severely. So I think morpho kits are something which are very handy, very easy to use. Also in busy pathology labs, where technicians have to do multitasking, it will be much, much easier to just put a drop of semen, put a cover slip, wait for 45 minutes. You can do other work and come back and do the analysis. So I think vitality also has its own role, especially in cases where there is total asthenospermia.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I think, I think with azoospermia, again, your take on azoospermia.
So my take on azoospermia is that, so if you see a sample, a neat sample, it has liquefied, you put a drop and you see under the microscope and you see no sperms at all, then that is not the end of the analysis of that particular sample. What you need to do is now collect the whole volume of semen sample, centrifuge it at 3000 revolutions RPM for 15 minutes, and collect the pellet and see that again. So that's very important, because in that pellet, if you start seeing sperms like 1 to 2 motile sperms per high power field, it's called cryptozoospermia, and it needs to be reported, it needs to be picked up. And in that sample, I think it's very important to know the volume and to know the fructose. So if you don't have fructose, then maybe you're looking at either seminal vesicle aplasia or a common ejaculatory duct obstruction if there is a low volume semen. So it's very important for laboratories to have a very standard, fructose solution and to perform it. So this is how you need to report. And one sample of azoospermia is not good enough to call the person. So we need to repeat again after a gap of about 2 to 3 weeks. And it's only when over and above 2 samples come as azoospermia should we label the person as azoospermia. And in the report, it is very important to write that we have done the centrifugation, and it's only after centrifugation that we don't see the sperm. Then that brings the authenticity to the report.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. I think because fructose is a mandatory requirement as per the latest WHO 2010. So yes, it's a test, but yes, the least neglected, because it's taken for granted most of the time. And wherever the sperms are motile, I guess that's not a problem. It's when there are less sperms or non-motile sperms or azoospermia, that is when we really need to look into all
Just
these
if I can put one more word, that if we have an unliquefied sample or a viscous sample, the only thing which can be done in the pathology setup, because we have the luxury being in the IVF setup, so we can add culture media, but is syringing. So I think it's very important that you pick that semen, syringe it out with an 18 gauge needle and try breaking that coagulum and then go ahead analyzing.
There is a reagent called Dalbecause reagent, which
Yes,
we
and
can
trypsin
use,
is also available. But I think
to
normal labs.
not all labs can
Yeah,
have all this and do that. But thank you for your input.